Well, well. Another week where we realize fantasy football can be so fickle. All right. It can be so amazing when you win and when the players expect the way you want them to, and so disappointing when things don't go your way. I appreciate you guys for being here with us. We have a lot to talk about after week 5 of fantasy football. A lot of things that we missed on, a lot of things that we hit on, and we're going to break it all down. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Yes, this is a live stream. If you're watching this later, shout out for you being here. But if you're watching this live, say what's up in the chat. In fact, I am going to do a giveaway on today's stream. At the very end of today's stream, we're actually going to do a giveaway live. All right. So if you guys want to enter that giveaway, it's very simple. All you have to do is like the stream and type "Damn Woody" into the chat, all one word, no spaces. And then at the very end of this stream, I'm going to give out a team playbook voucher to one of you guys. Okay. So one of you guys are going to win at random at the very end of the stream a team playbook. You'll get a customized review from us on next week's streams. Well, the upcoming streams. Okay, we're going to jump into all the disappointments of week 5 and talk about what our panic level should be on these names. Now, one thing I want to quickly mention is if anybody out there has Xavier Worthy and you're planning on starting him Monday Night Football, you need to have a backup plan. Now, why am I saying that? Well, because just today, just a couple hours, maybe 30 minutes ago, actually, Xavier Worthy was moved from good to go, not on the injury report, to now questionable for Monday night with a shoulder and ankle injury. This is a little bit last minute. A lot of you guys would not have many options because you would have had Xavier Worthy in your starting lineups. Now, we did get some clarity more recently. This is according to Cameron Wolf. His ankle is a little swollen after arriving in Jacksonville. They're saying that it's precautionary, okay? However, if you're going to be looking for a backup option, then just go ahead and stash Tyquan Thornton, guys. Tyquan Thornton was pretty much playing the Xavier Worthy role before Xavier Worthy came back from his injuries. So again, with Xavier Worthy, if you have him and you're relying on him tomorrow night, let's just have a backup plan, and that backup plan for you is going to be Tyquan Thornton. Okay, appreciate y'all for being here with us. Look, here's the deal. I have already been called every name in the book. All right. All you got to do is go look at our videos from last week and look at the most recent comments. This is the nature of what I do. Okay. Playing fantasy football and creating content on fantasy football, a game that I absolutely love. Now, unfortunately, this game isn't always kind to us. And go ahead. You can call me whatever name in the book you want to call me. I was big on Woody Marks this week, starting him everywhere against the Baltimore Ravens. And yeah, it didn't work out well. Okay, plain and simple, it didn't work out well. Now, I really hate hearing, well, it felt like it was the right process. That's kind of where I land here. If I had told you guys before this week, hey, just so you know, I'm from the future, and the Texans are going to score 44 points in Baltimore. Okay, the Texans are going to put up 44 points against the Baltimore Ravens. And if I told you everything we knew about Woody Marks, I said, hey, just a heads up, okay? Woody Marks last week as a rookie, man, he had 56% of the snaps. He had 17 carries and 5 targets. 23 touches for a rookie, double touchdown game, breakout. And then afterwards, the head coach comes out and he's like, man, we love Woody Marks. We want to give him the ball more. We don't want to scale him back. All right. We want to see what else this guy can do for us. How much more can we put on his plate? Throughout the entire week, there's talks about how they're going to give him the ball more, how he's going to be the center of their offense, how excited they are about this player who just had 23 touches. Then the team comes out and they put up 44 points. 44 points against the Baltimore Ravens, against one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. You would have said, Zach, man, I'm so glad we started Woody Marks. We all would have been like, man, I'm so glad Woody Marks was in my lineup, right? Again, I have been called every name in the book. I have been I understand this was painful for you guys if you started Woody Marks. I want you to understand it's painful for me too. I also started Woody Marks. Okay? I also started him. Okay? I understand your frustration. I too am frustrated. I am frustrated at what happened with this situation. Here's the deal. In a way, fantasy can be so random and be so fickle. It was the wrong call. I'll hold my hands up and say it was the wrong call. But everything was on the table for this to be a good play. If you don't know, he still played more snaps than Nick Chubb. Yep. 27 snaps compared to 24 for Nick Chubb. Unfortunately, what ended up happening in this game is you got Dameon Pierce involved. You got Dare Ogunbowale involved. And that was pretty much all in the third and fourth quarter because the game was just out of hand. There was not a single reason for them to play Woody Marks or Nick Chubb anymore. And in a way, if you own Woody Marks, you should be actually happy about that. I know it sucks this week, but for them to say, let's get CJ out of the game, let's get our starters out of the game, and for Woody Marks not to play another snap, in a way, I mean, if we're taking the emotion out of it, and again, yell at me if you want, but if we're taking the emotion out of it, that is kind of a really comforting thing, no? When all the starters are coming off the field, and that includes Woody Marks, and Woody Marks still led the way in snaps, they just wasn't a competitive enough game to really use him that much in the third and fourth quarter. In a way, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I know there will be certain people who will comment on this later and say, no, you're an idiot, zero ball knowledge, you're a dumbass. All right, Woody Marks is terrible, he's bad. No, Woody Marks is not bad. Yeah, I'm still standing by this. Woody Marks was still the best waiver wire pickup last week. If Woody Marks is dropped in your waiver wire, please go pick him up for free. This is still going to be a name where there are plenty of weeks this year where you're going to start Woody Marks. And people are going to comment everything in the world. But people who can look at this game rationally and understand it with context can look and say, yes, Woody Marks is still a great pickup. He will be a good play in the future. It just didn't work out today. That's just the nature of fantasy football. So for me, my panic level on Woody Marks as a Woody Marks owner, like 2 out of 10. It's frustrating to see Nick Chubb get so much work still, but this is still not a scenario where I am personally panicking and, so frustrated to the point where I'm just dropping him. So obviously that was frustrating. I'm right there with you guys. That was not fun to watch, but I do think patience is required. The best news for Woody Marks is there's a bye week next week. And then after that bye week, we always see rookies get more involved. If rookies are an important part of their team's game plan, after their bye week, we always see a bump in their involvement. So again, I apologize if you started Woody Marks and it was because of me, but as we say every single week, please also make your own decisions. I made my own decision. I started Woody Marks. I have to handle that. It didn't go well, but I thought it was the best decision I could make. And that's just the reality of fantasy football. We're going to jump into a couple other names. But guys, if you are just joining us, do us a favor. Hit that like button to show some love. And go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to enter today's giveaway, all you have to do to enter is type Damn Woody into the chat. All right. All one word, no spaces, Damn Woody. And then at the very end of today's stream, we're going to give away a 2025 team playbook. One of you guys are going to get a customized playbook from Bucky and myself next week on the stream. So again, all you got to do is like the video, type Damn Woody into the chat, and make sure you're subscribed. And then we'll do a giveaway here at the end. All right, there are other names to talk about, obviously. Let's go to Woody Marks, from Woody Marks to Bucky Irving. I mean, let's just talk about my entire team in the Flock League for a second, right? Damn, bro. Let's talk about Bucky Irving because there was some hope that, okay, maybe we're going to see Bucky Irving play next week. Obviously, he's out. He was out this week. Rashad White got 2 touchdowns. Rashad White wasn't even that good. He just kind of had a couple goal line opportunities. But this injury looks like it's going to keep him out next week as well. Okay, so this is from Adam Schefter. This was before the games today. It turns out that Bucky Irving's shoulder injury, which he did not report to the team until Tuesday, is more of an issue than his sprained foot. So it's going to keep him out at least 2 weeks, which means he will not play next week's game. So if we're looking at the schedule here for Bucky Irving, he didn't play versus Seattle. He's not going to play versus San Francisco. The first we can get him back is Detroit. That's painful to hear. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. So you need to have a backup plan for Bucky Irving, not only this week, but also next week. Rachaad White filled in and had 23 points. For fantasy football, he was great, but it's painful as a Bucky Irving to know that those points would probably be on my fantasy football team. But as far as a panic, 5 out of 10, you're not panic selling Bucky, but it's certainly frustrating to know that you're going to miss him at least this week and next week. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry's day was completely saved by a single touchdown. And this is becoming a trend now with Derrick Henry. There was a big play for Zay Flowers. He got it all the way down the field, made a great play, and then they let Derrick Henry punch it in. But Derrick Henry, just 2.2 yards per carry in this game, 1 touchdown, 6 of his 9.3 fantasy points all came from that single rushing touchdown. This is a concern for me. You're not going to have Lamar Jackson next week versus the Rams. That's my, by the way, that hasn't been reported. That's my belief. You won't have Lamar Jackson next week. And you're going to face another tough run defense in the Los Angeles Rams. So there is totally a scenario here where Derrick Henry scores under 10 points again next week. Without Lamar Jackson, this offense is completely stagnant. Yes, breaking news. Cooper Rush is not as good as Lamar Jackson. And then you have the bye week. So not only did he have outside of week 1, pretty much not a bust every week, but a disappointing week every single week. That's probably going to happen again next week versus the Rams. And then you don't have him week 7 with the bye week. So I would say my panic for the next 2 weeks is a solid 8 out of 10. For the entire season, it's more of a 5 out of 10. I'm not too worried about him when Lamar is back. He's actually going to be a great buy for any contenders when Lamar comes back, but you're going to have to wait that out because until that time comes, he's not going to be that great of a play. So that, again, is just the reality of fantasy football. Okay, let's talk about A.J. Brown. Another day where he had a solid amount of targets and another day where it just didn't work out, unfortunately. I feel like a broken record, but here's the deal with A.J. Brown. So we come into this game, right? 8 targets. Okay, so if after week 1, where everybody was freaking out about A.J. Brown, if after week 1, I told you guys, don't worry, okay? Because in the next four games, A.J. Brown's going to get 8.8 targets per game. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. From weeks 2 to 5, A.J. Brown's going to get 8.8 total points, total targets per game. You would have said, wow, okay, he's going to be fine for fantasy football. Man, he and Jalen Hurts are not on the same page. They just aren't. Now, obviously, in this game, he had to deal with Patrick Surtain, so I still would lean on he's going to have better days. Here's the good news. He faces the Giants twice in the next 2 weeks. That's a really good matchup for your wide receivers. So I wouldn't say I'm too panicked. I would probably say like a 4 out of 10. Obviously, your expectations change, right? Like at the end of the day, your expectations are no longer like a top 10 finish. It's can he finish top 20? But again, 2 out of 10 for me on the panic meter. He's still getting the targets. There will be good games ahead. It just sucks as an A.J. Brown owner, if you're out there as an A.J. Brown owner, to see Devonta Smith, with the 10 targets, 114 yards in this game. That's obviously difficult to reconcile with. But I wouldn't panic too much on A.J. Brown, but I would lower expectations. Okay, let's talk about Jameson Williams. So we had a video this week, and we talked about 2 buy lows. That was our 7 moves to make video. And in that video, one of our buy lows was Jameson Williams. The other was Bill Krosky Merritt. So unfortunately, really only hit not both times. one out of 2 times we hit there, right? First buy was, hey, let's go buy on Jameson Williams. There was a lot of signs that would lead us to believe he was a good buy. The second buy we talked about was Jakobi Krosky Merritt. And there was a lot of people in that video who were saying, I'm not even rostering Bill Krosky Merritt. He's not even good. There's no way they ever change the rotation. It's been 4 weeks. This is exactly how it's going to be for the entirety of the season. Now, unfortunately for Jameson Williams, coming off an 8-target game, there was a lot of hope. I wasn't alone in thinking, hey, maybe there's a breakup for Jameson Williams on the horizon. Well, in week 5, he had 1 target. I'm going into next week in the Flock League with my personal team, and I'm looking at no Woody Marks, okay? I'm looking at an injured Bucky Irving, and I'm asking myself, do I even start Jameson Williams next week? Do I bench him for Keon Coleman? So the panic level is a very high number, okay? I mean, when we're thinking about a panic for Jameson Williams, what is the number for you guys? I'd love to hear from you guys. For me, that number is probably 9 out of 10. I mean, they keep putting up 30-plus point games, and it keeps not mattering for Jameson Williams. At some point, if there's all busts and no boom, when do we bench him, right? Probably should have benched him by now. So, obviously, Jameson Williams, we were wrong on. I wouldn't drop him, but I certainly wouldn't be starting him in my lineups at any point in the next couple weeks, unless you're in like a complete desperate situation like I probably am in the Flock League. Like, let's ask the question to the chat. Next week, are you going to start Jameson Williams or Keon Coleman? If you had to choose one. Jameson Williams or Keon Coleman. Who are you going to start next week? I have no idea. I might have to pick someone up off the waiver wire at this point. God damn, it's awful. Like I said, a solid 9 out of 10 at this point. That's where my panic level is with the Jameson Williams. Now, there is something we do need to talk about that hasn't officially been reported yet. But let's talk about Amarian Hampton real fast. So Amarian Hampton left this game versus the Commanders, and we saw him on the sideline kind of testing his ankle, trying to see if he could get back onto the field. The unfortunate part is he was not able to get back onto the field. So Vidal pretty much finished that entire game. So there's a real concern here that Amarian Hampton could miss next week. So this is something that you need to be aware of. There's reports about him in a walking boot. We've seen that on Twitter as well. There's no official report on his status outside of just what we've seen, right? So there's a really good chance Hampton is not going to play next week. And with all the buys that you have, you definitely need to think about a backup plan. So we're not going to talk too much on this because we don't have any insider information, but it's definitely a concern. And if you don't think it's a concern, I think you're probably lying to yourself if we're being 100% honest and transparent. Okay, let's talk about Jakobi Meyers. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we just talked about Jameson Williams and how it's hard to see hope at the end of the tunnel, if you will, because one single target this week. I might be more worried about Jakobi Meyers just simply because Jakobi Meyers is getting the targets. He's in games where he's constantly down, and it's just not mattering. So in a way, I might be more worried about Jakobi than even Jameson Williams. Is that crazy to say? I don't know. I don't know if that's crazy to say. But at this point, it's getting difficult to start him week in, week out. Geno Smith is playing about as poorly as anybody possibly could. I mean, we're talking about Geno Smith. Guys, think about this for a second. Okay? Geno Smith had 2 interceptions this week. Okay, so let's do some quick maths. He had 3 interceptions the week before. In week 2, he had another 3 interceptions. An interception in week 1. We're talking 9 interceptions in 5 games for Geno Smith. Oh my God. Could it get much worse than that? I don't know if it could. I really don't. So Jakobi Meyers, this is his production without Brock Bowers in a game where they were constantly down? I don't know, man. I'm pretty concerned. I'm not sure you can start Jakobi Meyers going forward without him being just a bottom of the barrel flex play due to injuries and bye weeks. So I would probably put Jakobi Meyers at a solid 8 out of 10 on my panic meter. I don't know where you guys stand, but that's probably where I would put him. Do me a favor, hit that like button to show some love. Again, we are doing a giveaway today. We're going to give away a team playbook at the end of the stream. All you have to do to enter is type Damn Woody into the chat, all one word like that, and like the stream. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you for being here. Okay, let's talk about Jerry Jeudy, because it's getting hard to even roster Jerry Jeudy at this point, right? We had Cedric Tillman, who was out this week with the injury, and a game that was pretty close between the Vikings and the Browns. And you would expect Jerry Jeudy to step up and be the dominant receiver in this backfield. But that didn't happen. He had 4 targets. 4 targets all game. Meanwhile, Isaiah Bond, one of our stashes for this week, 8 targets in this game. So Isaiah Bond, rookie in his 5th game, doubles the target share of a Jerry Jeudy. If that's not concerning, I don't know what is. So at this point, if you're not, I'm not saying you should drop Jerry Jeudy, but if you're not concerned about him, then we're probably living in different realities, if I'm being 100% honest and transparent with you. There's nothing but panic signs for Jerry Jeudy right now. Again, this was a guy that you were hoping, hey, maybe through the bye weeks, he can just be a decent flex. I'm not sure that's the answer at this point. Okay, let's talk about Juwan Johnson. I want to talk about Juwan Johnson real fast. Juwan Johnson was a name that was just thriving on targets to start the year. And it seemed as if Kellen Moore was really, really excited about featuring him in his offense, right? That seemed to be, all indications seemed to be, oh, wow, former converted, wide receiver to tight end, finally utilized in an exciting role, in this Kellen Moore offense. Didn't really matter, unfortunately, at the end of the day here in week number 5. With the additions of Taysom Hill to the offense, Foster Moreau, he had just 4 targets. Just 4 targets. Now, to be fair, this was the first time the entire year where the Saints were not in a negative game script. So in a way, that actually hurt Juwan Johnson, because a lot of his value came from being in a negative game script, right? We've seen that week in, week out. Now, here's the encouraging sign for Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson still played a vast majority of the snaps, 84%. He had 56% of the snaps. However, we were seeing 4 tight ends used in week number 5. Taysom Hill, obviously, they used him in some creative ways. He threw a pass as well as a couple rushing attempts. Foster Moreau got involved. And unfortunately, Juwan Johnson does not look like this locked and loaded starter every week that we thought he might be. So I would say solid 6 out of 10 panic for Juwan Johnson. Again, I appreciate y'all for being here with me. We're going to end the stream by doing a giveaway. And right now, I can tell you we currently have 136 entries. I'll show you all right here. You can see it here live in real time. 136 entries here. Now, all you have to do to enter, guys, again, is like the stream. Type Damn Woody into the chat, all one word. And make sure you're subscribed. That's as simple as it gets. And again, here in a second, we will go ahead and give away a team playbook voucher to one lucky person. Again, guys, I don't know what else I can say about Woody Marks. It feels weird like apologizing to you guys, but I will apologize to anybody who started Woody Marks. Again, I am also upset. Again, you can hurl all... I've seen every insult in the book. I get it. You guys are upset. I'm upset too. All right, I'm also upset about the Woody Marks stuff. But you can blame me. I get it. It's frustrating. We didn't get that call right. Yeah. I'm also upset. Let's be very clear. I'm also upset. But I do think there are much better days ahead for Woody Marks. It is not a good time to drop him. That would be very stupid. There are going to be plenty of weeks this year where he's starting for you and you're happy with him. Okay? All right. So what we're going to do before we get into this giveaway is we're going to set a lineup for week number 6. So obviously there's a lot of despair in week number 5. A lot of you guys are here because you're angry that you lost. I'm angry that I lost as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about week 6. Okay, we're going to quickly talk about week 6. Now we're going to set a lineup on FastDraft's Quick 6 Super Slam contest. And after we do this, we'll do the giveaway. But I want to set a lineup with you guys. If you have never played on the FastDraft app before, tons of our audience is winning hundreds of dollars every single week. If you've never played on FastDraft before, download the FastDraft app. Okay, use the promo code LAND. I'm going to match your deposit up to $50. And then you're going to get 10 free drafts or 5 free of these DFS tournaments on me. I'm going to send you my season rankings for week number 6 as well. You can check out the pinned comment in the chat. I just put a link in the chat for you guys. But let's quickly set a lineup. I'll show you how easy this is to do. We're looking at week 6. The guys at FastDraft, I asked them to have the slate ready for me for next week. This is the only contest right now that you can actually set a lineup for next week. Now, there was a couple matchups in particular that I wanted to chase. One of those matchups being Tetairoa McMillan versus the Dallas Cowboys. Really frustrating for T-Mac because he had so much yardage in the first half and then they went away from him. I'm not going to give him my 2-time booster, but versus the Dallas Cowboys, that's an incredible matchup. So we're definitely going to go out and chase that. The other matchup I wanted to chase, why is it blanking in my mind right now? Javonte Williams versus the Carolina Panthers. We love that matchup. Kyren Williams was the one I wanted to put a 2-time bonus on. He goes up against the Ravens. Now, look, obviously it didn't work out for Woody Marks. Again, that had a lot to do with game script. But Kyren is going to dominate the Ravens next week. I'm confident in that. We're going to put a little bit of a guarantee in our lineup as well with Puka Nacua. So 2 Rams at the top of that. And we have 6 total spots. So I think to finish it, I want to get a little bit unique with this lineup here. I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper. Let's look at some matchups that might be intriguing here. Chris Godwin versus San Francisco is interesting. Kenneth Walker. I'm not going to play T. Higgins. You know what? We're going to throw Jameson Williams in there versus Kansas City. It's a DFS lineup. You kind of want to shoot for upside. I want to get a little unique with this roster. I don't want it to look exactly like everybody else's. And then I think Jamar Chase has done enough to also consider him in some of these lineups as well. So that's the lineup that we're going to consider. Again, you can submit your own lineup with this contest. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam contest. It's very simple. All you need to do is choose 6 non-quarterbacks. Okay, that's as simple as it gets. You choose 6 non-quarterbacks. You set your bonuses 2-time, 1.7, 1.5, 1.25. And again, if you have never downloaded the FastDraft app, and I would highly encourage you. So many people are winning money every week on the FastDraft app. Use the code LAND. We'll match the deposit up to $50. And then you're going to get 5 free entries to that tournament on me. Okay, let's do this giveaway. There are 181 of you guys who are entered to win the team playbook today. Okay, so we're going to officially give one of those away. I'm going to copy all the entries. 181 of you guys entered. And let's go ahead and let's find ourselves a winner. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Look at how many names there are. Okay. Good luck to everybody who has entered. The winner of the playbook. I don't know how to say that. Morde Chai Uden. Morde Chai Uden. All right. So all you have to do, my friend, is DM me on Discord. There's my username. Tell me, send me a screenshot of your YouTube account and tell me your Flock Fantasy username. And then I'm going to hook you up, my dude. Now, if anybody out there doesn't have an account yet on the Flock site, you can actually create one for free. Just make sure you use the promo code LAND at sign up, and then you'll be able to use the My Teams feature for free, which is one of the great features on the site that we give out to people for free. Again, flockfantasy.com/land. Use the promo code LAND, and then you can use the My Teams feature for free. But make sure you send me your Flock Fantasy username and your screenshot of your YouTube account. Again, guys, I appreciate you big time. This is one of those days where fantasy football was not fun for me. If it wasn't fun for you, I get it. But good luck in the future, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Nothing but love.